Life is so enormous that it has no meaning. If there was a meaning, the moment you found the meaning, it would be over. But you can't finish off life like that. You write 1,000,000 books about it, still it is ever expanding. So there is no meaning to life. Meaning, very rudimentary minds in the world are always trying to explain life off as this or that. You can't explain it off because it contains you, it is you. Everything that you discover is just a small aspect of it. Whatever meanings you give it to, whatever definitions you give it to, are just your notions about it. Life is far beyond meaning. Life is beyond meaning. And that's why it's so beautiful. We are all unique, each one of us different. And it's so wonderful that we're different. We may spring from the same oneness of our interiority, but as human beings, as individuals, every one of us is unique. We are different, that's what is beautiful about us. And the oneness is not yet in our experience, at least not yet in the common human experience. So at least let's enjoy the difference. If you learn to enjoy the difference, if you see that every human being is a unique human being, only once in the whole eternity, only once this kind of human being happens. You cannot find exactly this kind of human being anywhere else in the existence, at any time in eternity, only once. That is true with yourself, with your friend, with your enemy, with your loved ones and the ones you hate. All of them are absolutely unique. Anything that you see as unique, you value it, isn't it? Anything that you value, you will have no problems with it. And oneness will happen out of that. If you begin to enjoy the uniqueness of life, oneness will happen out of that. The fear is simply because you are not living with life, you are living in your mind. Your fear is always about what's going to happen next. That means your fear is always about that which does not exist. If your fear is about the non-existent, your fear is 100% imaginary. If you're suffering the non-existential, we call that insanity. So, people may be in just socially accepted levels of insanity, but if you're afraid or if you're suffering anything which does not exist, it amounts to insanity, isn't it? People are always suffering, either what happened yesterday or what may happen tomorrow. So your suffering is always about that which does not exist, simply because you're not rooted in reality. You're always rooted in your mind. Mind is… one part of it is memory, another part of it is imagination. Both of them are in one way imagination, because both of them don't exist right now. You're lost in your imagination, that's the basis of your fear. If you were rooted in reality, there would be no fear. Why is there poverty and suffering in the world? See, one thing is poverty, the way we describe poverty right now, is very, dependent upon certain standards that we have set ourselves. Who is poor, who is rich is decided by certain standards that certain societies have set. 10,000 years ago, living in a cave was a luxury. If you had a good cave for yourself and something to cover yourself, it was a great life. Today we have created so many things for our well-being, So anybody who cannot afford to have that, we consider that poverty. So what's poverty in one society need not be poverty in another society. So this trying to have a world view of common sense of poverty, saying that if you earn anything less than $10 per hour, you're poor, I think is an improper way of looking at the world. I know in South India, if a man earns $2 per day, not per hour, he can live well. He can live reasonably okay. The kind of prosperity that we are talking about, our standards of prosperity are completely unrealistic and ecologically unsustainable. So this idea of poverty and prosperity needs to go through a lot of change. I come from a culture where people have chosen many times, not now, many times to be consciously poor, by choice. This is a culture where kings have chosen to walk as beggars. So, poverty is not necessarily in terms of whether you have a car to drive or not, whether you have a big house to live or not. That's not so. Definitely the world is poor because in spite of all this wealth, in spite of all this comfort and conveniences that science has heaped upon us, still people are living joyless, still people are living not knowing how to live. We know how to go to the Mars, but we still don't know how to live on this planet. That's definitely poverty.